Cybercrimes are any violation of criminal law that involve a computer or computer-related technology, such as a smartphone. And these types of crimes are a growing problem. Evidence shows that Americans are increasingly being victimized by computer crimes. According to a recent Gallup crime survey, 1/4 of Americans say they or a family member were the target of a computer crime on their home computer in the past year. In fact, the same poll found that Americans are more afraid of being victimized by cybercrimes than traditional crimes, such as muggings and shootings. Meanwhile, most businesses rank cyber attacks as a top fear. According to estimates, the amount that cybercriminals steal from businesses is worth several $trillion annually worldwide. Giving internet users even more to worry about, terrorists and militaries are engaging in international warfare and espionage using the internet. In fact, organized criminal groups are behind 40% of cybercrimes, while government-affiliated hackers are involved in 23% of attacks. Although the internet may seem like the Wild West at times, there are actually many laws in the United States at the state and federal level pertaining to cybercrime. Under existing laws, a computer may be the object of a crime, such as when computer hardware or software is stolen or pirated. A computer may be the subject of a crime, such as hacking and viruses. Finally, a computer may be an instrument of a crime, such as identity theft or the distribution of illegal material, such as child pornography. In some cases, old laws that apply to the analog world can be applied to computer crimes. In other cases, there is no analogous law, and special legislation is needed. In recent years, many law enforcement agencies have been putting more and more resources into crime fighting online and developed innovative ways to catch criminals. For example, police have trained dogs to sniff out USB and SIM cards packed with child abuse material, terror plans, or stolen confidential information. Because these devices are small, they can be hidden in hard-to-find places and missed by the human eye during searches. But they can evade these specially trained dogs.
That's a laptop.
Laptop hard drive.
Iris is one of the FBI Newark Bureau's newest hires and is specially trained to sniff out the chemicals in electronics. Her handler, Special Agent Jeff Calandra, helped her show off her talents.
Show me.
She found a USB port attached to keys in a car console, a tiny computer chip stashed near the gas tank.
It's just one of the little boards from a big board. Show me.
And on another try, an SD card hidden in the wall.
However, despite all these protections, internet users often feel like cyberspace is a lawless place. That's because the law often lags behind technology. Criminals invariably devise new ways to stay one step ahead of law enforcement. And the general anonymity of the web, combined with the international nature of cybercrimes and jurisdictional issues, can make it difficult for law enforcement to catch cybercriminals. Hi, I'm Professor Mark Grabowski, and this lecture will provide an overview of some of the most common types of cybercrimes that are prevalent in America today, along with the challenges law enforcement officials face in fighting crime online. I'll also cover some tips to protect yourself online. Because the best way to avoid becoming a victim of cybercrime is by being informed. So let's take a closer look at cyber threats in the United States. One common type of cybercrime is hacking, or the unauthorized access of computers, servers, and cell phones, which is usually done to steal money, extract sensitive information, falsify records, or to cause mischief. The threat of hacking is growing because more and more important records and documents are being digitized and stored in the cloud instead of locked in file cabinets. And a variety of everyday household items, ranging from TVs to refrigerators, are also being connected to the internet. While these technological advancements offer many benefits by connecting to the internet, they also provide cybercriminals with more ways to hack. Hacking is, of course, illegal. Under the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act of 1986, or CFAA, it's a felony to knowingly access a computer without authorization, and violators can face fines and long prison sentences. But note that this law does not apply to so-called white hat hackers or ethical hackers, who organizations hire to find and fix security holes in the organization's websites and computer systems. Those kinds of hackers have been authorized to hack. Another common cyber threat is what's known as ransomware. Ransomware is a form of malicious software or malware that takes over a person's computer and threatens them with harm, usually by denying them access to data stored on their computer. The attacker demands a ransom from the victim, promising, not always truthfully, to restore access to the data after receiving payment. In recent years, a number of corporations, government agencies, and colleges have suffered ransomware attacks. In 2020, the University of California at San Francisco paid criminals more than $1 million to regain control of their computer system after suffering a ransomware attack. The same year, a ransomware attack was also blamed for a death after it paralyzed a German hospital's computers and prevented a woman from getting the urgent care she needed. In an attempt to deter ransomware attacks, some states have passed laws that ban people and organizations from paying ransom. The hope is that cybercriminals will lose motivation if they know they can't get paid a ransom. But whether that approach actually works is up to debate. Computers aren't the only device that cybercriminals may hack, attack, or exploit. In fact, smartphones are becoming a more popular target. That's because people are attached by the arm to their phone and use it for practically everything. Cybercriminals can gain access to a person's smartphone through many different ways without even physically stealing it. Their methods include malware, cloning, and porting, among others. Smartphones are often the key to unlocking a person's most important financial accounts, since people usually use their phone number and smartphone apps to access online banking, cryptocurrency accounts, and stock trading, and more. Cybercriminals have even hacked other smart devices connected to the internet, such as smart refrigerators. For example, in recent years, hackers have been able to hijack tens of thousands of smart devices at once and use their internet access to overwhelm popular websites with more traffic than they could handle. Such attacks result in the websites being temporarily inaccessible. These kinds of attacks are known as distributed denial of service attacks, or DDoS attacks, and they've happened to popular websites and apps such as Twitter and Spotify. They're difficult to stop because the incoming traffic flooding the victimized website originates from many different sources. It also makes it very difficult to distinguish legitimate user traffic from attack traffic when it's spread across so many points of origin. Besides hacking, the internet is also increasingly being utilized to commit sex-related crimes, such as accessing child pornography, cyber stalking, and revenge porn. While most pornography available online is typically legal under the First Amendment, child pornography is illegal. Everything about it's illegal. You can't make it, look at it, possess it, or distribute it. This strict prohibition also applies to sexting, which is a term used to describe individuals taking and sharing sexual images of themselves via phone or messaging apps. As a result, in some cases, teenagers have been convicted on child pornography charges and required to register as sex offenders simply because they sexted consensually with a fellow teen. Meanwhile, revenge porn is also generally unlawful. Revenge porn is the distribution of sexually explicit images or video of individuals without their consent. Perpetrators often use the content to blackmail their victims into performing other sex acts, or to coerce them into continuing their relationship, or to punish them for ending their relationship. Note that I said it's generally unlawful, and that's because a few states still don't have laws that adequately protect against all the different types of revenge porn. Many other problems also exist that have not been fully remedied by the law. For example, there is a phenomenon known as cyberstalking, which involves the repeated use of electronic communications to harass or frighten someone. This is a big problem that's difficult to stop. Typically, victims must first go to court to get a restraining order, which requires that they show an actual or legitimate threat. Then they can pursue cyberstalking charges only after the restraining order is violated. And there's a lot of creepy behavior that reasonable people would agree is wrong, but it's difficult to prosecute. Catfishing is another example of a problem without a legal remedy. Catfishing is a type of internet scam in which someone pretends to be someone else online and fools an unsuspecting victim. Currently, there is no general law that makes catfishing illegal. That said, if the catfishing is done with the intent to engage in illegal activities, such as harming, threatening, defrauding, or kidnapping the victim, then the perpetrator could be prosecuted for fraud along with the underlying crime. So, for example, internet romance scams, such as those featured in the true crime documentary Tinder Swindler, may be charged with wire fraud, theft, and other cybercrimes. But many other types of common catfishing practices, such as posting old, photoshopped, or misrepresentative photos of oneself on a dating app, are not illegal. And there are reasons for that. Think about it. If that were against the law, many people would probably be in trouble. One recent survey found that 64% of people admit they have manipulated a photo of themselves they posted online. The aforementioned problems are just a sampling of the many types of cyber threats. Cybercriminals are constantly devising new ways to defraud and harm people and organizations. For example, there's a new ploy known as virtual kidnapping that's been difficult for authorities to stop. Virtual kidnappers scour the internet for targets by searching for social media posts by international travelers. Scammers then contact the target's loved ones, claiming to have taken the target hostage. They can be very convincing, sometimes using recordings or voice mimics of the person they claim to have kidnapped. Panicked family members then pay the ransom quickly to ensure the target's release. But in reality, the target was never in physical danger. But by the time the family members realize they've been victimized, the ransom money is gone. Another new kind of cyber scam is what's known as fake storefronts. Many e-commerce sites function as platforms to connect buyers with sellers. They basically allow people to buy and sell goods directly from each other. But in some cases, these online sellers are running a scam. Someone will order a product from them, but it never gets delivered. That's because the seller never intended to send the item. Instead, it was a ruse to collect the buyer's credit card and other information. That information can then be used by the scam seller to make fraudulent purchases. In fact, non-delivery of purchased items is the second most common cybercrime. Now, all of the things you see listed on the screen are illegal, but having laws against cybercrime is only the first step in deterring it. Many high-profile victims, such as CEOs, politicians, and celebrities, may be reluctant to report crimes due to the potential for negative publicity. Even ordinary people may remain silent. A recent study found that 1 in 4 fraud victims have not told their family what happened out of shame. In the case of businesses, victimized corporations may be hesitant to share information about cybercrimes because they fear it may result in them being sued civilly or even prosecuted criminally for their lax security and negligence. As a result, Congress has enacted a series of laws in recent years that mandate private companies report data breaches and ransomware attacks. These laws provide immunity from legal liability in exchange for the company's cooperation. Incidentally, if you or someone you know has been a victim of a cybercrime, you can report it to the federal authorities via the website ic3.gov. IC3 stands for Internet Crime Complaint Center. It's overseen by the FBI, and they handle everything from cybercrime terrorism to spam, which, believe it or not, can be illegal in certain circumstances under a 2003 federal law known as the CAN-SPAM Act. But even when cybercrimes are reported, getting justice may be difficult. Law enforcement officials face several challenges in investigating and prosecuting cybercrimes. Although the federal government has cracked a number of high-profile cases, their resources are finite, not infinite, and they can't catch everyone. Also, penalties are often not enforced because of jurisdictional problems or a lack of information sharing among enforcement agencies. For example, many hackers operate out of countries that do not have good relations with the United States government, and thus would be unlikely to extradite suspected cybercriminals for prosecution in the United States. Finding the true identity of criminals from online criminal conduct can also be a difficult task for investigators. Sophisticated criminals may encrypt data so that even if authorities seize or intercept stolen data, law enforcement will be unable to understand its contents or use it as evidence. As with the real world, many cybercriminals conduct their illegal activity underground. Online, this dark corner of the internet is known as the dark web. Lawless foreign locations provide a haven to such sketchy actors by hosting the content on their servers. Another issue that limits crime fighting is that some law enforcement practices are controversial and may raise constitutional issues. For example, several police departments have started using artificial intelligence to predict when and where crimes may happen based on analyzing data and finding patterns.
Police captains like Sean Malinowski of the LAPD and other police departments across the country are turning to a new tactic to help stop crime before it happens. It's called predictive policing.
It calculates for the next 12 hours in the future what areas have the highest probability of a crime occurring. And then what we do is we provide that information to the officers, and then the officers go out and they try to prevent those crimes from occurring.
We are helping police fight crime by giving them the best state-of-the-art mathematical models and algorithms to take the data from yesterday and today and figure out what's going to happen tomorrow in the field.
With mathematics and social sciences, police have a new weapon in their arsenal, helping not only to protect and serve, but also to predict a crime before it happens.
But critics contend this technology can be flawed and often results in police unfairly targeting certain neighborhoods and groups based on racial bias. Consequently, several cities, including Santa Cruz in California and New Orleans, have banned government use of predictive policing programs. It's important to be aware that cyber threats can come from anywhere and everywhere. In some cases, foreign governments are even directly involved in cybercrimes. For example, the North Korean government is accused of being behind the notorious 2017 WannaCry cyber attack that froze thousands of computer systems around the world, demanding $300 in Bitcoin from each victim to remove the encryption.
After careful investigation, the United States is publicly attributing the massive WannaCry cyber attack to North Korea. We do not make this allegation lightly. We do so with evidence, and we do so with partners.
Cyber attacks can also happen close to home. While many of us probably envision a shady character sitting behind a computer screen in some distant place committing these crimes, about 1/3 of cybercrimes involve internal actors. So a fellow employee, a classmate, or even a jealous ex could be the perpetrator of a cybercrime against you. That's why it's important to not share passwords. You should also guard your devices. Be wary of allowing others to use your computer, smartphone, or tablet, even if they're family members. They may inadvertently expose you to cybercrime risks and liability. Besides keeping your passwords private, you should also utilize multi-factor authentication, which adds another layer of protection against having your account hacked. And always be careful with using public Wi-Fi. Another good cybersecurity practice is to update your devices. Keep your computer, smartphone, and other internet-connected devices current with the latest operating system patches and updates. And keep backups of your files and drives up to date in case you need to recover from a ransomware attack. Being careless with your cybersecurity might not only cause you to lose money or to have your identity stolen, it could also cause you to lose your job. A 2022 study by email security company Tessian found that 1 in 4 employees lost their job in the past year after making a mistake that compromised their company's cybersecurity. In addition to knowing and following cybersecurity best practices, you should also be familiar with laws. If you work in IT, for example, you may be legally obligated to report data breaches that compromise your company's employees, clients, or customers' personal information. And if you inadvertently break the law and commit a cybercrime yourself, keep in mind that ignorance of the law excuses no one. For example, one recent study found that while nearly 80% of people consider shoplifting a very serious offense, only 40% of people agreed that downloading copyrighted movies on the internet without paying for them was wrong. But to be clear, pirating movies is a cybercrime, and those who do it can face federal prosecution for criminal copyright infringement and even be sentenced to prison time. So, to stay safe in today's digital world, you must stay vigilant. Protect yourself online. Be aware of the newest threats, and also keep abreast of the law. Now you understand why cybercrime is such a problem. Well, this has been Professor Mark Grabowski, and thanks for watching.